My name is Anna Claire Bell. My student ID is 3271789, and these videos are recorded for spring semester 2018. In this video, I'm going to show you how to do a canine nail trim. Today I have with me this little puppy, and he just needs to get them trimmed. You'll need a couple things for a nail trim. You'll obviously need an appropriate size clipper. He's a very young puppy, so I have our small clippers with me today, and I also have quick stop powder, which is a clotting powder that we use if you ever cut a nail too short. You often see that they'll bleed. And this powder will stop the bleeding, slow it down, and I'm going to go ahead and show you how to use it beforehand. Just so you know, you'll put a little bit on the end of your finger. If the nail is bleeding a good drop at a time, I usually like to dry it off with a cotton ball first, but if not, if it's just barely starting, you'll stick the nail into the powder and apply a little bit of pressure until it stops bleeding. And so that's about how long you leave it on there. So I'm going to go ahead and brush that off. There's a little bit to nail anatomy before you do a nail trim you need to know. The nail has the end that grows out that thins is what you're going to try to cut, but in the nail bed is the quick. That's where all the nerves and the blood supply are. And so if you cut that, it's painful and it will bleed, and it can give dogs a negative experience with doing nail trim. So it's really good, especially on young puppies, to try your best to be more conservative with your cuts and not cause them any pain, because when they're adults, they'll remember that negative experience. So I'm going to show you real quick how to cut a toenail. He's got a congenital defect in one foot, so I'm going to show you on his more normal foot. Well, like I said, black nail trims can be a little bit more difficult because you can't see where the quick is. And the quick on a white nail usually looks pink. It's usually right about here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut where the nail tapers off. And I'm going to do it on each nail. And he's being very good for me. I know, buddy. And then get his last nail. And that's it. That's how you do a nail trim on the canine. Alright. Today I'm going to show you how to do a cat nail trim. You're going to need nail clippers that are appropriate for the size of the nails you're cutting. I like to use our smaller ones. We have larger ones in the clinic, but you have a little bit more control with smaller nail clippers. And you're going to want to have some kind of way to stop blood if you cut a nail too short. I have quick stop powder here with me. And I'm just going to go ahead and show you how to use it before we get started. It's better to know beforehand. If you cut a nail too short, it's going to bleed, and you'll need to take a little bit of quick stop powder on your finger pretty quickly and put the nail into the powder and apply a slight bit of pressure. If the nail still keeps bleeding through the powder, either reapply the powder or dry the nail off with a cotton ball and then reapply the powder after that. Sometimes if it's too saturated, I find that the powder doesn't work as well. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do a nail trim. Before I do that, I'm going to show you a little bit about cat nail anatomy. In younger cats, they have a little bit more control over retracting their nails into their paw, so you're going to have to push forward slightly to expose the nail. Older cats, this is less of a problem. She's a little bit older, so I don't have to push very hard to get her nail exposed. And before I cut, you can see there's two different parts of her nail anatomy. You have this thinner white part at the very outside, and you have a thicker part of the nail that's pink. That's where the quick of the nail is housed. It's where the nerves and the blood cells are. So if you cut that too short, it will bleed and it will be painful, and it will leave a negative experience with a nail trim. And that's something you really want to avoid. So I like to be conservative with my nail trims when I have the opportunity, just so I don't have a negative experience. So I'm going to show you how to do a nail trim on each one of her toes. So I'm putting a little bit of pressure to expose the nail forward, making sure to avoid that quick. And then you don't want to forget about the dew claw. And make sure nothing's bleeding. And that's how you do a cat nail trim. Today I'm going to show you how to pill a dog. I have with me Tori here today, and I have a lean treat. This is a medicine, but it's a treat, so she should enjoy it. I'm going to show you how I'm going to pill her. I'm going to first open her mouth up, and I'm going to push down a little bit on her tongue. I'm going to push it to the back of her mouth. Gently push down her throat, and then quickly close her mouth and blow on her nose to make sure that she swallowed the pill. And I'll show you how to check if she swallowed once I do it. And I saw her swallow, and I'm going to wait for her to open her mouth and give her a second. Make sure she doesn't spit it back out. And if you're at home, you can open up their mouth again. I don't see any pill or treat in there, so she's good. Okay, in this video, I'm going to show you how to pill a cat. I have TT's mirtazapam. She gets a quarter of a tablet. It's an appetite stimulant. For cats, you want to make sure that you're not going to get yourself scratched when you do this. If you're at home, sometimes I like to scruff their neck, just to make sure that they don't bite me or that I have better control of them. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to open her mouth up. I'm going to try to push this to the back of her tongue and give it just a gentle push down her throat and close her mouth and make sure that she swallows the pill. I'm gonna open up her mouth, stick this down, push it down, and I'm gonna hold her mouth shut and make sure that she swallows it. And there she just went and swallowed it. I know it tastes gross, and you can double check and make sure that their mouth is empty and that they have swallowed it. And I usually wait just a second or two to make sure that they don't spit it up. And that's how you pill a cat. Today I'm gonna collect urine on Macy. I'm gonna follow her around with this ladle, and I'm gonna wait for her to squat, and I'm gonna try to catch urine midstream. I don't wanna catch urine immediately when she pees because bacteria on her skin can contaminate my sample. So in order to check her for a UTI, I need to make sure it's as clean of a catch as I can get. So I'm gonna follow her around, and I'm gonna try to catch this urine. And I've collected enough urine here. I'm going to immediately transfer it to my sterile syringe. Discard my excess, and now I can go run a UA. Today I'm going to show you how to apply a gauze muzzle for times when you don't have a manufactured muzzle around and you have an especially fractious dog that might bite you or is at risk to bite you. You can usually pick between a 1 inch or a 2 inch gauze, and I have 1 inch with me available, which I've selected because he's a smaller dog. You want to make sure that you do this tight enough that they cannot bite you. If they can lick a little bit, that's okay, but you just want to make sure if they can eat a treat that they can also bite you. So I've done my first loop. I'm going to go over again so that it comes underneath his chin, and then I'm going to tie it behind his ears. I'm going to double check it again. He can't open his mouth more than licking, so you know you have a safe muzzle.